Hello everyone, this is Ashley Tucker. Thank you for joining me today. Today I'm sharing a really quick and simple card design, and I started it with some Distress Oxide ink blending. I have a piece of Bristol Smooth paper taped down to a board, and I'm blending with the colors Spun Sugar and Worn Lipstick. I didn't have to fill the whole paper in because my plan was to eventually cut this down. Once I finished with that first layer of color, I took a stencil and I taped it down on top of that, and I'm going over the stencil with some darker colors. This stencil is called Elegant Egg, and it's from Brutus Monroe's Stencil of the Month Club for the month of February. Now, this stencil is shaped like an egg, and it is meant to be Easter themed, but I'm not quite ready to make Easter cards, but I still wanted to use it because it's such a pretty stencil. So I'm going to be modifying it a little bit so that it doesn't look like an egg, so that I could still use it for this Valentine's Day card. So for the stencil blending, I did the color Worn Lipstick on the top half of the stencil, and I did the color Picked Raspberry on the bottom. I then went over that stencil with some glitter glaze from Brutus Monroe. This is the Fallen Snow glitter glaze, which is a really sparkly clear glitter glaze. When you first put it on, it does look white, but it will dry clear. Once I got that nice and smooth with my palette knife, I very carefully lifted that stencil off while the glaze was still wet, and then I set the whole thing aside to dry for about an hour. Once it was dry, I picked out a large circle die from the Hero Arts Nested Circle die set, and I ran that through my Big Shot to cut it into a circle. Next, I took a square card base and a large circle die, and I placed that die on top of the card base with the side hanging off of the folded edge just a little bit, so that when I run that through my Big Shot and cut it, it will still be able to open up like a card. I also cut out another circle that's the same exact size, and I glued that on top with my ATG gun so that I would have a full circle without that flat edge on the side. For my sentiment, I used a piece of black cardstock. This is Bazzill Licorice Twist cardstock, and I have that in my Misti tool, and I'm going to be embossing a sentiment onto that with Brutus Monroe embossing ink. The sentiment comes from the Love Bug stamp set from Brutus Monroe, and I embossed it with Alabaster white embossing powder. Next, I took the stenciled circle panel and I popped it up onto my circle card base using some foam tape. Now, as for that sentiment that I just created, I really didn't want to cut it down into a strip. I thought it would look a lot better if I fussy cut it. So I took some scissors and I very carefully fussy cut that sentiment out, and then I used some foam tape in order to pop it up onto my card. To finish up this card, the first thing that I did was I added a few different sequins, and I used my Gina Connect glue in order to add these sequins. And then the last thing that I did for this card was I took my Wink of Stella glitter brush and I went across that sentiment. After that, this card is all done, and you have a really sparkly Valentine's Day card, and you can't tell at all that this stencil was meant to be an Easter stencil. Thank you for watching today. I hope you really enjoyed this card design. All of the supplies that I used for this card can be found in the description down below. If you enjoyed watching and you're new to my channel, I would encourage you to hit that subscribe button so that you can see all of my future videos. I'm going to be back with a new card on Wednesday. Again, thank you for watching. I appreciate all of you, and I hope you have a good day today.